What's up guys, James from Twisted Assisted here. It's been a week since we released the Fortis EDC knife, and it's probably a good time for me to do a tutorial as to how to disassemble and reassemble your knife. It's a good thing to familiarize yourself with so that you can perform monthly or 6-monthly maintenance rituals. Here we go. We're going to start off. The only tool you need is a good quality T6 bit driver. We're going to start off by taking off the male pivot. There we go. The next thing to take off will be the countersunk screw holding in the pocket filler tab. There we are. That's all off. This half of the scales will now come off. Notice that this is milled out here to accept the liner so that it all sits nice and flush. Next thing to do is we have a hidden screw, just so that we don't clutter up the lines of the knife by having multiple screws in here, just breaking up the lines. We've just hidden it inside there. Let's take that off. And you can see without that, the liners come loose, the blade, cage bearings come out, female pivot, that's your lanyard pin. The other thing to take off is to remove these two domed screws, T6 domed screws that are retaining the pocket clip and that standoff. And you can see we are down to the nuts and bolts of it. To reassemble, very simple, you just do the whole thing in reverse. So using the standoff to pick up, there's no point taking off the other hidden screw on the other side unless you want to. But yeah, locate that so that it's sitting flush within the scales. First order of business is to put the pocket clip back on. So just locate that in the recess which is machined for it, and we'll just do the bottom one first. That screws directly into the liner, and what we've got here is we've got a standoff. So let's pop the standoff in, hold it with our thumb, and just get that screwed in. Okay, next order of business is to get the female half of the pivot, pop that through. Let's get our bearing on there. Now, important, don't forget your lanyard pin. Lanyard pin will sit in there. Let's pop the knife blade back. Okay, I'm just pinching that, holding it together because you've got the double detent spring there. So let's keep that pinched to maintain the tension. And now we're going to put the other half of the caged bearings. Now we're just going to locate the other half of the liner. Let's just locate that there. That's over the pivot, flush, and here we've got standoff, standoff, and lanyard pin retained there. So the next thing we need to do is just to pick up our hidden screw and get that started on there. Let's do that. Okay, that's in. During all of this, I'm maintaining the pressure with my index finger and thumb there. Let's pop the other half of the scale, pop that there, and put the male pivot back in. Let's get that in there. Okay, lastly, we got the pocket filler tab. Locate that, put the countersunk screw in. There we have it. Like I say, because we don't have a backspacer here, we've got the standoffs. There is a decent amount of clearance and access for you to get a Q-tip or a cotton bud, depending on where you live, and to give that a clean out inside there. That's all good. Now would be an opportune time just to address something that has been brought to my attention. Some of you might have noticed when you're opening and closing your knife that there's been a kind of a squeaking noise. I've had a customer contact me today and completely justified, asked me what is causing that. Is it something to be concerned about? And so in this half of the video, I'm just going to talk about why there's a little noise, why you shouldn't be worried about it, and it will sort itself out, and what is causing it. Okay, so we're just going to run through that. So my customer said, well, is it something that needs some oil? And the answer is no. The noise is not originating from the pivot or the caged bearings up there. It's not originating from the internal stop pin rubbing or anything like that. What is happening is, I'll just demonstrate on these parts here. So this is a double detent knife, which means we've got two detents. There's my pointy stick. Here we go. Two detents here. When the knife is closed, the sprung ball bearing here, which I'm pointing to there, you can see that that is sprung. When the knife is closed, that ball bearing is located in that hole there. And then when you open the knife, the ball bearing is dragged across this 180-degree arc to where, it locates here as the knife is opened. And that noise is caused by that ball bearing traveling this 180 degrees and back again. The detents and the ball bearings are held, and there's a very, very strong spring here. We specifically requested the factory to do that. It just means you've got positive opening and positive closing. If you've got a weak spring, then there is a chance that the ball bearing can dislocate from the detent and the knife opens in your pocket. So there is a very strong spring in there, and as it travels and positively opens, it creates a kind of almost a sort of a harmonic resonance as it travels from open to close and close to open. Now, what you can do about that is you can add a little bit of oil with your knife open, dab a little bit of oil here and here and there and there, and that will help the ball bearing to bed in. What's happening is that ball bearing is nice and new, and it is just making this harmonic resonance as it is describing this 180-degree arc from there to there. And that is literally all that's happening. And what will happen is, with using the knife, put it in your pocket, open it, use it, fidget with it. That all helps for the ball bearing here to just flatten off a little bit and to weather and to just bed in nicely. So the solution for that noise is just to use your knife. And then one day you'll just notice, well, it's just stopped making it, and that's because the ball bearing has worn in. It's not ideal for us. I mean, obviously we want everything to be absolutely perfect out of the box, but this is just a byproduct of physics, I'm afraid. We asked for a really strong tension, which we got, and that has a side effect, which is of this slight squeaking noise as you open or close. Anyway, I just thought I would take the time to just explain what's going on, why you shouldn't be worried, and just explain how it's happening. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.